Hey everyone, this is Erin Lefebvre from Full Circle Herbals, and I'm doing the live podcast right now for the podcast Herbs with Erin, Remedies for Body and Spirit. So today is about Goldenrod, which I'm holding up here. So if you're watching the live video on Facebook and in the Plant Priestess Exploration Facebook group, or on my YouTube channel, you can see the Goldenrod right here. It is a yellow herb, and some of these are already done. The top here is those blossoms are finished, and you see the yellow flowers right here. So this is goldenrod, probably Canadian goldenrod. Solidago canadensis is the scientific name. There's many kinds of goldenrod, and this one that's blooming in my area is likely the Canadian goldenrod. They can be a little tricky to identify, but this one's pretty common here and in many parts of the United States and other places. There's other solidagos out there, such as stiff goldenrod is another one, but Canadian goldenrod is one of the common names of this plant. And so I'm just going to tell you in a couple seconds here what this plant is used for. Just letting everybody get the signal here. Hello, Conita. I see you. So yes, the solidagos, they are lots of them, mostly yellows, and mostly yellows in various different kinds of inflorescences. So the inflorescence is the collection of the flowers, and there's little tiny flowers on each of these. So this is the yellow one here. See if we can get there. All right, so this is in bloom around, we're in August, so mid-August. It kind of depends on what kind of season we've had, if it's been dry or cool or hot, depends on when they flower, but it's around mid to end August. And some of them are already getting past their prime, but yeah, it just depends on where they're growing. These ones are growing up close to the house where it's, they have ideal conditions. They tend to grow in fields, in ditches, along roadsides, anywhere where there has been some sort of disturbance, maybe near a recently completed house or building or something like that, or a road. But Solidago canadensis here is one that you'll find all over in many places. Most people consider it a weed, a nuisance, and don't like it in their pastures, perhaps, or big monocultures, things like that. But it is also given a bad reputation for another reason, and that's because it is in bloom when ragweed is in bloom. The giant ragweed is in bloom now, and some of the other species of ragweed. And so people see this yellow flower, growing really well in fields and along roadsides because it spreads underground. So there, it really reproduces well and propagates itself well. And they think, oh, my allergies are really bad. It must be this yellow plant. When in fact, it is the ragweed. And goldenrod it doesn't have wind. It's not a wind pollinated plant. It has pollinators that come to it. And so wind pollinated plants typically do not have showy flowers. They're very inconspicuous. It's hard to notice them. Ragweed does have a flower structure, a reproductive structure, but they don't get showy petals. They're like a greenish color. They're not big. They don't have a smell because it relies on the wind to move around the pollen for the whole reproductive cycle. So the wind is what it needs to move it around. So it creates a lot of pollen, very small, lightweight pollen that can just fly through the breeze anywhere and everywhere it can possibly go. Whereas this goldenrod its pollen is heavier. It needs to stick to things, like stick to pollinators. And so that it's not relying on flying through the air. Now, certainly it can get in the air, I'm sure, but it doesn't create that much pollen like ragweed does at the same time. So this is not the culprit for most of the allergies that are happening. So what can we use it for? Well, the leaves and the flowers can be used for teas, elixirs, things like that. And what it's typically used for is like seasonal affective disorder, any kind of, melancholy mood is one of the things that it's used for. And it does have like antimicrobial effects, like many of the herbs do. So this is a good one to make, to add to mood blends. It can be used fresh or dried, of course, and it can be used in a tincture or elixir, which is a combination usually of like alcohol and honey and the herb together. If you dry this, air dry it at home, you may notice that the flowers will turn, they'll reduce their yellow color and kind of get fluffy and lightweight, and they kind of lose their structure and their color. So don't be alarmed if that happens, because it will. But yeah, you can use like this piece here, I would hang upside down and just hang it in my kitchen area away from the sink or the stove. And it dries really well with air, with air drying. You certainly could put it in a food dehydrator, but that's not necessarily, you don't have to do it that way, but that is one of the ways. So yeah, doesn't have a strong scent. It's not necessarily a strong flavor. Kind of tastes like carrot in a way, in a strange way. So this is goldenrod, one of the, I would call late summer herbs that we can harvest, and really good for many things, like including, seasonal affective disorder, some melancholy, and lots of other things, including antimicrobial, helping to keep the immune system well. So that's what that's the goldenrod. Yeah, that's the goldenrod. What else is out there blooming right now? Oh, the asters will be next. I'll be talking about those next week. So for those of you who are watching in my Plant Priestess Exploration Facebook group, and for those listening, the podcast after this, the Plant Priestess Circle registration is closing today, and it will open up again probably in about 3 to 4 months. And also the Reclaiming the Priestess to Embrace Your Essence. That 3-month workshop starts in September 9th, goes for 3 moon cycles, so 3 months, and is 6 live sessions, and each of them have their own module with them. So if you're looking for information about those offers, which registration is closing today, go to the Plant Priestess Circle website. So if you go to fullcircleherbals.com, you'll see the Plant Priestess Circle offerings there. And for those of you who went through the Plant Priestess Exploration Workshop just recently, you have a coupon code that can get you a discount off of that 3-month workshop too. So just wanted to remind all of you who are watching live about that. And next week, I'll be coming in here to talk about another late summer herb. So let's see what that one's going to be here in a second. I can tell you what we're doing. I believe it's going to be on the asters. I have many other offerings coming up here soon. Some are face-to-face, and some of them are going to be online through other outlets besides myself, which one is through university. So be on the lookout for those coming soon. I'll get you all the details. If you're not on my email list, be sure to join that at fullcircleherbals.com, or you can message me at Erin Lefebvre Herbalist on Facebook. So just looking up, we're doing the asters. I'm going to be talking about the asters next live podcast. Let's see here. Yeah. That's what we're going to do for next week. I'll talk about the asters. Those are another late summer herb that gets started as well. Let's see if I have any questions really quick here in the comments. Yeah. All right, sounds good. Oh, you have some drying as well. Very good. All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining me on the live podcast, and be sure to follow me at Full Circle Herbals to stay up to date about all of the offerings that are coming up in October. So thank you. Take care.